Tonight, it's time I took a break from reviewing the Mario games I covered in my retrospectives and started tackling other cool titles. Tonight's review is all about a light gun game, which, in my personal opinion, is the best of its genre by far. It was one of the games bundled with the Nintendo Entertainment System when it launched in 1985, and despite nearly being forgotten after the NES was discontinued, characters from the game made a comeback in the Super Smash Bros. Franchise. Gaming Delight presents its review on Duck Hunt. Before we talk about Duck Hunt, here's a little piece of history about the Zapper. The Zapper originally came out in 1984 as the video shooting series light gun, packaged with Wild Gunman and a holster belt. Duck Hunt and Hogan's Alley soon followed later in the year, and in 1985, all three games and the light gun came to North America. The gun, however, underwent a major makeover. It looked too much like a real Colt. Nintendo of America designed it to look more futuristic. However, the original plan was for the Zapper to be wireless. It was demonstrated at the Consumer Electronics Show in January of 1985 as part of Nintendo's advanced video system. But due in part to the fallout from the video game crash of 1983, no one placed an order. Then in the summer of that year, after the system was redesigned and renamed, Nintendo removed the expensive wireless functionality and made the Zapper wired. The NES launched in New York and New Jersey as part of a test market on October 18, 1985. The package included the NES, Rob the Robot, Gyromite, Duck Hunt, and the Zapper. Wild Gunman and Hogan's Alley were released as separate launch titles. The test market was successful, and once it rolled out nationwide, the Zapper would eventually be sold separately, then packaged with the NES Action Set, which included a combo cartridge containing Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt. In 1988, after the federal toy gun law required toy guns to have at least a bright orange plug so as to distinguish them from real guns, Nintendo played it safe and colored the Zapper's barrel and grip orange before putting it out in early 1989. Now, I know it's been said multiple times in multiple videos on multiple channels, but the Zapper, like all other light guns at the time, does not work on modern televisions. Only CRT monitors, even the professional ones. If you want to capture good light gun footage, you'll need a Famicom with an RGB Blaster, or an RGB modified Famicom or NES. Output RF or composite video to the CRT, and output RGB to an upscaler hooked to the capture card. Of course, this advice is for those with standard CRTs. Okay, now we can get to Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt is said to have been inspired by a toy in Nintendo's Bean Gun line, Kosenju Duck Hunt. The same research team, Research and Development 1, led by Gunpei Yokoi, then took this concept and put it into a game for the Famicom/NES, with the help of Intelligent Systems. Gunpei Yokoi served as the producer. Supervising the game was Takahiro Izuchi, who had been with the company since 1975. Izuchi had a hand in designing the hardware for the color TV game systems. He would go on to produce games such as Metroid Prime and Metroid Zero Mission. In addition, after Yokoi retired from Nintendo in 1986, Izuchi took his place as the general manager of R&D 1 until 2004, when R&D 1 and 2 were absorbed into Nintendo Software Planning and Development. Duck Hunt was released for the Famicom on April 21, 1984, and like I said earlier, it reached North American store shelves on October 18, 1985. Europe would get the game 2 years later. Now to the gameplay. Duck Hunt is technically single player only, more on that in a bit. Very few light gun games were multiplayer, and even then, none of the officially licensed games for the system allowed for two light guns at once. In the game, you're a hunter seeking ducks to shoot down, with a loyal dog helping to pick up your prize. There are 3 different modes. In Game A, you shoot 1 duck at a time. There are 10 ducks in each round, and you get 3 bullets per duck. Miss all 3 times or run out of time and the duck flies away, leaving your dog to laugh in your face. You're given a minimum number of ducks to shoot each round. and if you're successful, you move on to the next round. Bonus points are awarded if all 10 ducks in the round are hit. The ducks with black feathers are easy to shoot. The ones with blue are a little tougher, followed by the tricky ones in red. As you go round after round, the ducks fly faster, and the minimum number of ducks increases, as well as the points. If you fail to meet the required amount of ducks in the round, your game is over. Game B is the same as Game A, except it's 2 ducks at a time. You're only allowed to miss 1 shot if you want both ducks. Before we get to Game C, I say the game is technically single player only because only 1 zapper can be used. But a second player can participate, not as a hunter, but as the ducks. Using the D-pad on controller 1, the second player can control the duck's flight. Now for Game C, which has no ducks and no dogs, thank goodness. Instead, it's clay shooting. It's based on Nintendo's laser clay shooting system from the 1970s. 2 clay pigeon projectiles are shot off far, and you have to shoot them before they're out of sight. Shoot the required amount, and you clear the round. Fail to do so, and it's game over. As for my opinions, what can I say? It's the essential light gun game released for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Pretty much every gamer in the 1980s and 90s likely got their light gun start with Duck Hunt. Too bad I didn't know about the Zapper, or any light gun for that matter, when I was young. I was used to controllers, but I'd heard quite a bit about Duck Hunt. My uncle had the NES action set, which included the cartridge containing Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt, even though he only showed me Super Mario Bros. By the time the dog and duck became a playable character in the Super Smash Bros. Series, I wanted to know more about the game. And speaking of the dog, I suppose many a retro gamer can agree with me that he's a nuisance every time he laughs at my failures. Too bad you can't shoot him. At least not in the NES version of Duck Hunt. Around the same time Duck Hunt came out for the Famicom, the game was distributed as part of the Nintendo Versus system for arcades. But the gameplay was a bit different. It alternates between Game B and Game C each round, and instead of 10 targets, you get to shoot a maximum of 12 targets per round. Every time you miss, you lose one of 5 lives. After every second round, you get to play a bonus round, in which you shoot up to 35 ducks, while the dog leaps out of the grass and into the line of fire to serve as a distraction. Shoot all the ducks and you get bonus points, but if you shoot the dog, he'll reprimand you, and the game ends if you shoot him, unless you've already shot all the ducks. Oh, and I should remind you that Smash wasn't actually the dog's return to Nintendo games, even though there was still a 2-decade gap between the NES era and the release of Smash for the Wii U and 3DS. He actually makes a cameo appearance in Barker Bill's Trick Shooting, an NES Zapper game released in North America in 1990. To be precise, he appears in the Balloon Saloon game, and unlike in the NES version of Duck Hunt, you can actually shoot him. But of course, he still laughs at you when you lose. But we'll talk more about Trick Shooting in a later video. Duck Hunt would go on to sell over 28 million copies worldwide, over 10 million more than Super Mario Bros. 3. Much of that can be chalked up to the fact that it was a pack-in title for the NES, especially with Super Mario Bros. It's likely that most of the copies sold were part of the Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt cartridge that came with the action set, and or the cartridge from the Power set that also included World Class Track Meet. At any rate, Duck Hunt helped define light gun games. 17 officially licensed Zapper-supported games were released for the NES, 6 of which were developed by Nintendo, and 1 of which was only released in Japan, Space Shadow, which came packaged with Bandai's Hypershot light gun. Other companies released third-party light guns in North America, including Konami's infamous Laser Scope and Nexoft's Dominator Pro Beam. But Duck Hunt and the Zapper were not without competition from the other console manufacturers. When Sega put out the Master System in the West, it was often bundled with the Light Phaser, along with the light gun game Safari Hunt. Only 13 games were released for the Master System to support the Light Phaser. Atari also put out the XG-1 for their 8-bit home computers, as well as the 2600 and 7800, but it wasn't as successful. Consoles from later generations came out with their own light guns, including Namco's Gun Cons for the PlayStation consoles and the Virtua Gun for the Sega Saturn. Sadly, none of these next-gen light guns matched the Zapper's success. Noon television technology would soon follow, thus leading to light guns that didn't require CRT televisions. In 2007, Nintendo released the Wii Zapper, a plastic shell to which gamers would attach the Wii Remote and nunchuck to use as a light gun-like controller. In 2014, Nintendo released Duck Hunt on the Wii U Virtual Console, with modifications to accommodate the Wii Remote and the Wii Zapper. Wild Gunman and Hogan's Alley follow 2 years later. Now, if only Nintendo would find a way to get these light gun games out for the Nintendo Switch Online service. Don't you wish the same thing? Overall, if you have a CRT television and a working NES with a zapper, Duck Hunt, which is very easy to find, with or without Mario, is an essential game for all your light gun gaming needs. Thanks again for watching Gaming the Light. Until next time, happy gaming!